Okay, we are now running the live stream. Ugh. Got all my gamepad controllers. Oh god, did I press the wrong button? Okay, no I didn't. So yeah, earlier today I participated in a member stream on Loki's Mornings of Mischief. And you know, it was a fun stream. I kind of got sidetracked a bit, lollygagging on my end, because, you know, I've been playing around with this green screen, which, I mean, I bought an actual green screen, but my wall happens to already be green, and I put a new coat of green paint on it a few months back. So between these two factors, and some green gaffer's tape on my window here, well, not directly on my window, I have, you know, conditions that are pretty good for green screen activity. The only issue is, like, I wish I had something on the back of this wall scroll to help prevent it from, you know, letting light shine through. So I gotta figure something out for that. Maybe like a sheet of fabric or something. But what we did was, or what I did was, while participating in the stream, well, yesterday I also participated in a post episode live stream. After the end of the Orville episode, I had the chance to participate in a Orville after show, you know, discussion. And so, of course, I figured I'd put the Union Dockyard above my head. If I get to participate in the same stream next week, I would try to refine this setup, because, you know, it's one thing to be jerking around on my own channel, and it's one thing to be jerking around during somebody's member stream where you're a member, and it's sort of like, you know, you're rewarding the membership, so to speak. But I'm also, you know, when you're participating in a serious stream, something that, you know, someone is using as part of their content, I think it makes sense to try to put your best foot forward. I know before doing someone else's stream, I took a cardboard box, I lined it with aluminum foil, I put a chrome dome lamp inside the box with a LED or fluorescent light that had a warm color temperature, because I like the look of a warm, you know, color temperature lighting. Oh my god, is this stream still unlisted? Jesus. I can't believe that. Does YouTube promote your stream after setting it to public? Like, my question is, do people get notifications if you set a YouTube stream to public during the stream? Like, it's a weird Google question. Wait, okay. Unlisted videos sit between the public and private. When you make videos unlisted, it won't appear in search results, your video tab, or suggestions. Your subscribers also will not get notifications if the new video is uploaded as unlisted. However, anyone with a video link can watch the unlisted video. Okay, I know that, but if I change the status from private to public on my channel, will subscribers get a notification or not? Yes, it counts as publishing a video, so even when you uploaded a private or unlisted video years in advance, they get notification when you make it public. If you private or unlisted again, they will get a new notification every time you make it. Okay, good, because I don't want to do a new stream. Like, I just did a stream that was unlisted or private. I clicked stop, renamed it, started a new stream, thinking I already set it to public when I actually did not. So, okay, we're good. But yeah, so I'm doing this live stream, and I was playing with my background. So I had this video of the non-fleet, the mighty non-war machine. Here we, so you can see out my window here, right? Gotta see out my window. I love this scene. I love it. Like, with the engines on the non-cruisers, it looks like fusion reactors, like stars. It looks like a star inside each engine funnel with this blinding light. Oof. And I mean, those ships were pretty powerful actually, but know, you're kind of going up against the shadows. Doesn't really work out well for them, you know? I mean, it wouldn't work out for anybody going up against the Shadow Fleet for the first time using a conventional ship. But the non-ships, they had pretty good beam weaponry. The aim is a bit off. I gotta say, non-ships don't have very good aim. I would say it's like Stormtrooper level aim. And a lot of the guts of the ship, a lot of the important parts are quite exposed, I gotta say. I don't know, like, if that really matters, but they don't seem to have much in the way of shielding. So anyway, during the stream, I was like trying to swap out videos. So I was like in OBS, and you know, in OBS you got studio mode, which lets you preview changes before people see them. But apparently OBS does not let you preview this stuff unless you you know, put it in like for real, if that makes sense. So for example, okay, we got OBS right here, okay? And yeah, you're gonna have this looping image here, and I put it into studio mode. So you got side by side. Normally the window is a bit larger, you know, something like that. Okay. And so what you do is, if I switch my input, let's say to my main webcam, you're not gonna see that until I click transition. And then in this case, it's gonna swap what you see over here with what you see over here, so that I can make changes. So before I turn off something, so let's say I go back to the display we're looking at. Let's say I want to turn off my webcam in the bottom right corner. You can still see me in the bottom right corner, but when I click transition, I'll disappear. On the other hand, which one is it? Is it that one? Okay. On the other hand, if I yank myself out of studio mode, now any changes I make occur in real time. So the problem with studio mode is that when I turn on a video, so let's say we go back to the full up camera and I turn on a background video, you don't see anything, right? But when I click transition, then you see the video. And I'm losing track right now, so let me find some here. So I go off. Yeah. Oh yeah, and I got a multitronic display. See, now the multitronic display is showing. But, like, that's not fair. Life is not fair. But, like, let's go back to the other video. So, okay. Once again, we got... Okay, apparently I have some Stargate here. I don't even know what the hell... That looks like a freaking entire episode. What is this? Why do I have this? Oh, it's the episode where Jack O'Neill meets the Asgard and he's like, we're doing the best we can. And you gotta understand, we're doing the best we can. And the little alien puts his hand out like... Anyway. So getting back... Now it's working. This is bullshit. So during this live stream today... See, okay, that's a good example. This is a video. You currently don't see the video. I turn it on, I turn it off. I turn it on, I turn it off. It's not coming up in the preview as I would expect it to come up, right? So, I turn it on again. But it will turn on when I hit transition. I didn't know this. So I wasted like half the fucking stream trying to figure this out. I was like going into Adobe Premiere. I was exporting the same video like 3 times. I opened up a fucking media encoder. I was like, not this one, I don't use that one. That one or this one, and like, well, I didn't use this one. This one has way too many settings. This video encoder, in fact, you can't even see my screen right now, can you? Let's go back into normal mode, why don't we? You know, let's just go back into normal. Okay, so yeah, so this is a very good video encoder, by the way. Like, this is what you would use if you were trying to de-interlace video, and if you were trying to cook the room, because of course you put the CPU to work and it's going to generate a lot of heat. Which, I mean, is what we pay for the computer to do anyway. Which brings us to another topic. You know, a lot of people use laptops today, and I'm not knocking it. I respect the choice. I actually, my first computers were all laptops. It was pretty convenient. You could watch TV while using the internet or using the computer for anything else, whether you're playing a game or going on the internet. And it makes sense. Why should you have to go to a room, a separate room in your house where you have a computer? And even when you have a room with a computer in it, you might as well put a TV in there, unless, of course, you only want your kids doing schoolwork or something like that. But there's certain things that, when you're using a laptop, the laptop will get very hot. And a desktop is better suited for those types of, you know, operations. Things like video encoding that might take hours. Now, some people, they may outsource that. They may pay some online service to provide that functionality. And that's an option, you know. Hell, maybe I should start offering services, because I mean, I got a server in my basement. I'm thinking about buying a second one. And the minute I get a second server, I really should start selling, you know, some colo or whatever the heck. So I wouldn't do co-location, but just, you know, CPU time, you know, user accounts, and people could run apps. But I don't know, that's a whole other topic. So where was I? Getting sidetracked here. So yeah, I'm messing around with this background video, and it's not playing. I'm hitting on, and nothing's happening. And I was running in studio mode because I wanted people to, you know, not see me messing around with the whole thing constantly. You know, I was just trying to have some fun. And anyway, no big deal. Just thought that was, you know, something, I don't know, just on my mind today. Other than that, you know, when you end a stream, you don't know. Oh, before I play a video game, I gotta connect to my computer outside. When you in a stream, I don't know what the proper etiquette is for exiting the stream, you know? Like, if I'm the last man standing, it's cool, you can converse with people before you end the stream. But, like, I also don't want to leave anybody hanging, you know, I don't want, like, to drag it out. I also don't want to be like that guy who eavesdrops on other people. So, when you're sitting on a stream and other people are, you know, talking to each other, like at the very end, maybe they don't want somebody eavesdropping. Maybe they want some privacy, you know? Maybe like they're going to talk about some shop. So I exited the last stream I was on, but I thought I was being addressed at the end, but I'm really not sure if someone else was being addressed, or because there was only 2 people left, 3 people at that point, you know? But I sure hope I didn't like offend anyone by dropping out of the stream like that. So anyway, I figured before I proceed, I should just blast out my content to various people. I usually just go make rounds on Discord, and I go to people's, you know, Discord channels where they have a section where you can promote yourself. And yeah, that's basically it, you know, nothing special, just self-promotion. And I think I've done it. Now, got like a laundry list of things to do. One, I want to test out a Game Boy emulator, just to see if you know, I can run it in 4:3 aspect, or to see what effort would be required to do that, because I'm very OCD about running video games or streaming anything in the proper aspect. When I play N64, I do that in the correct aspect, meaning widescreen or pillar box. What we're gonna do here, but anyway, let's get on topic. So number 1, astrophotography. So before I was doing it wrong, and I just remembered how to do it correctly. So what you do is you move the mount either to the far west or far east until the camera is about to bump into the tripod, because the camera, remember, the camera is sticking out from the back of the telescope. So you got to do something to prevent that stuff from bumping into anything. So that's what I did. And I might even have a video of that. Yeah, so, you know, imagine if this was pointing straight up. And heck, I probably have a video here somewhere. What the hell did I film it on? I filmed it on my phone. See, all bad examples. I'm trying to find one example where it's going all the way to the west. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. So imagine this. That telescope is pointing at a star. And it's pointing at a star. And the sun, or everything is moving west because, you know, the Earth is rotating. So it goes... In this case, it's doing this. In fact, it's attached to an arm, and it's going... Well, it's kind of doing... I'm trying to think of a good example here. God, I can't do it. Okay. It's doing this, so it's going... Now imagine if this keeps moving... and my wrist is the tripod. So, kind of hard to see, but basically, if I fall asleep and the mount keeps moving, the back of the telescope or the cameras, the payload, will bump into the tripod, and that is very inconvenient because on this particular mount, the motors, the stepper motors are very dumb. They will just keep moving even if it's stuck. Now, it's a clutch, sort of like a tripod when you have to loosen it up to, you know, you can loosen everything up and then retighten it. So it doesn't really get damaged, it's just that you gotta realign everything. Sometimes you'll snag a USB cable. That is super inconvenient. But in this case, so what I did was I moved it to the extreme end of travel. Like I literally pointed this straight up until I checked to see how close the blue thing, the back of the filter wheel, was to the pier. This is a pier extension, and this is a tripod underneath the canvas cover. And then you click a plus button over here, and you set a little line, and the line represents the east and west meridian limit. And the meridian is the basically it's the top of the sky. It's a border that crosses the zenith. And we can even look at the meridian from here. So now when I go to bed, I should have pretty good peace of mind that the back of this scope won't bump into anything, which was really bothering me. The last target I photographed was Vega. I think we took enough pictures of Vega today. What we will do, however, is we will use Vega as our, you know, focusing star. So we're going to let the telescope slew to target. So I shared out my YouTube video to all of the servers, Discord, etc. I'm going to go and make sure that the video is public. Okay, good. It is public. Because I really would be pissed if it wasn't public and I was like, you know, I don't know. It doesn't really matter. But anyway. ACU. That's the name of my astronomical control unit. So, we got the gain is sort of like the ISO setting on a camera. Should I have this poster up? Should I like roll this up? Because I mean, that's kind of useful, right? I wish they had like curtains that were built purposely to look like anime posters. Okay, there we go. Got a little Lando Malari poster up here. We got the hydrogen filter selected at the moment, so we're gonna switch it to luminance, which is basically a transparent piece of glass. Each of these buttons represent a filter, and the filters reside in the filter wheel. That was the thing I was showing before on the back of the telescope. And I should have some videos here in my DJI Osmo video folder. Here we are. I've actually uploaded a number of videos, and that's gonna take its time. Whoa, wait, just wait, don't crash. Okay, good, we're good. That's annoying. I love when the program is like, let me show you thumbnail images for all of your videos. It's like, no, I want a list. Okay, good. So hopefully the audio doesn't go blasting off. Yeah. So what? Okay, so this thing here that says QHY CFW, that's a filter wheel. So basically this is our camera, and in the center of that camera is an image sensor facing forward. This is a cooling unit that brings the sensor down to negative 15 degrees. At least that's the setting I have it on now. And then inside of this here is a carousel. There's a USB port, but I'm using a different cable that connects to the back of the camera. But anyway, there's a carousel, and inside the carousel are 7 filter slots containing 36mm filters. So unlike a normal camera where you put the filter in front of the lens, in this case you're putting the filters pretty much behind the lens and in front of the image sensor. Just the nature of how we do it. And that's because, of course, in regular photography you can swap the filters. You know, you're there to swap filters. You know, you generally want to use one filter at a time quite deliberately, especially a circular polarizer filter. But in astrophotography, we tend to want to be able to swap filters without having to touch the telescope, or to be able to keep the touching to a minimum, because, you know, you shake this thing just a little bit and your target jumps around. So, that's weird. Something doesn't add up here. I clicked on red. Oh god. Oh man. That sucks. I have a bad feeling about this. I have a terrible feeling about this. Not like super terrible, just like a minor inconvenience, because you see, I told it to change the filter from hydrogen to luminance. The image did not get brighter. The image should have gotten brighter when I went from hydrogen to luminance, because the hydrogen filter is you know, pretty much letting in a very narrow sliver of the EM spectrum. So this graphic here shows you the EM spectrum, you know, red, green, and blue. Back was red, green, blue, and ultraviolet and infrared on the extreme ends. And hydrogen is this little spike right here that is anywhere from 3.5 nanometers to 8 nanometers wide. Of course, you do have filters that are as wide as like 30 nanometers, for example. But the point is to block out all of the light pollution from the city lights So you got, mercury vapor lamps. You got high pressure sodium lights. You want to block all of that out and only let the hydrogen in. Hey, what's up, Dick Marks? It's good to see you, man. Hey, I don't know, have I seen any videos from you lately? I will check your channel out in the event that I missed any notifications from your videos. Hey, Google, remind me to look up Dick Marks' videos like tomorrow at 12 noon. There, I got you, bro. I hope all is well. Oh, man. The urge to yawn has hit me just now. Anyway, so they got different filters. Like this one is only $265, now 265 euros. I paid like $350 for mine, and that was the 36mm one, which is currently not in stock on the website. The 2-inch ones are like phenomenally expensive, so I was like, get the F out of here. I'm not buying that shit. I'm not paying fucking $800 for one piece of circular glass, especially when I need like multiples of them. Plus, the 36mm was exciting because it would allow me to have more filters crammed into a filter wheel. Alright, so we're gonna pray that closing shop cap will fix the issue, because if it doesn't, I will have to get up and basically jerk around with it. It's not a big deal, you unplug a wire, you plug it back in, you pray, you cast some spells like Warhammer 40k, and hopefully it works. The problem with this filter wheel is, sometimes something, for whatever reason, it gets stuck. And I think it's because of the tolerances, because it's supposed to be an ultra slimline filter wheel, because basically, the image that, okay, if you notice the way that the telescope focuser works, on a normal lens, the focuser will move internally, or you'll rotate the barrel on the lens and the lens will move in and out. The objective lens will move in and out to give you focus. On a telescope, you're moving the camera back and forth, or you're moving the eyepiece back and forth to achieve focus, whereas the front part stays completely still. And excuse me. So now, because it's got an ultra slimline filter wheel, I'm thinking that between the heat and the expansion, once in a while something binds, something rubs against the wall, and it gets stuck. So I clicked on the L for luminance. Now we got 2 buttons lit up. And that's not abnormal for there to be a... okay, we're good. We're good. I think we're good. Whew. Because it's not abnormal to have a little delay. Yeah, there we go. So before we go any further, we're going to set this to 16-bit color mode. And then I'm going to rub a piece of dust out of my eye. We'll go to 100%. Now, good news is when I aim at a target, it's pretty much close to the center. It's not expected to be absolutely perfect, but it's close to the center. I have a friend who, saw me doing my manual alignment routine, and he thought it looked like absolute insanity. He didn't understand it at all. He's like, why don't, they just invent a telescope mount that has gyroscopes here, here, and here, and then using, the magic of mathematics, it would automatically know where every star is. And I was like trying to explain to him that, it's not how this works. I mean, I wish it did work like that, but other people have taken a crack at it, and it's just not how it works, So what we're gonna do is, I think we're gonna crank up the brightness, and instead of trying to get focus on Vega, which is a rather bright star, we're gonna try to find a neighboring star, something else, anything else that we can use, as like a benchmark, Although I take that back, I do want to use Vega. See, the funny thing is Vega might already be in focus. See, now it's getting larger. And then you can see that little spot in the middle of there. That's not how you know it's out of focus. Now, a lot of people in the flat earth community and religious people who like don't want to hear it, you know, anything other than what they want to think, will take a telescope, especially a reflecting telescope, and they will purposely put it out of focus and get the star to do all kinds of cool shit. It looks cool, but they're not seeing anything special. It's out of focus. Now, interesting factoid. There's calibration software where what you do is you take the star and you analyze that pattern, that ring pattern, and you can actually figure out how well made the telescope is, whether it's precisely built. Some companies, like, I was reading about a weird policy where they would be basically saying that if the telescope is less than 90 days old, we won't give you the data on this. And if it's more than 90 days, it's not under warranty, so you can't exchange the telescope if you don't like the data you get. But essentially, there's a way to compute the distance of these rings and how even they are. And not specifically these rings, of course, because I'm under a cloudy sky right now. Like, you would do this with testing equipment, but like maybe a special light. But essentially, we're out of focus, and we got like thin haze, high altitude clouds passing by, and it's creating this cool pattern. On a reflecting telescope, being this out of focus, you'd probably see a donut, because there would be a little mirror blocking the main mirror, and then the rings would be much more tightly together, but you could use those to help you adjust the mirror. In this case, we're going to jump back out because we don't want to be out of focus. So I've used increments of 100. Now I'm using increments of 20 to try to tighten up my focus. And at some point, I'm going to have to do increments of 5. I'm going to have to be very careful. See, that's probably good enough. It looks pretty good. It's pretty still. Temperature's crawling down. Let's see. We've been going down a degree, so we can use this to guesstimate the time. So 22, 23, 0, 23, 37. So if I'm reading the times here correctly, hang on. This is a temperature graph that goes back to June 22nd. That must have been the last time I used this, I guess. July 1st. In any case, well, this graph will move throughout the evening, I suppose. So, last it was 24 degrees. Now it's closer to 23 degrees. So, I would say we'd probably want to move it 5 to 10 steps for every degree change. I'm kind of guesstimating this here, but I would reckon this would be adequate. So now this is indicating we have temperature compensation enabled. Hopefully it helps. And you know, it's centered. that atmosphere is doing some ugly things to that star. I don't even know if I should really try to do any real astrophotography today. Now what we could do is we could do like goose up the gain, goose this up. Don't forget to set the temperature. We could even increase the amount of light we get by basically doubling the size of each pixel. We could even inspect this image to see, yeah, I don't think it's particularly out of focus. I like this pattern we're seeing here. I don't think it's a good pattern though. I think it's actually a bad sign. Like, I don't know why the pattern has this like triangular thing over here. If it's like, maybe if I centered the star a little bit more, the pattern would be a little different. But that is a bizarre pattern. So there's people who are not educated on science. They'll look at something like this and they'll try to make their own judgment. They'll say, oh, that's a sign of a solar flare. But it's not. It's just our atmosphere messing with the light. There's a guy I watched on YouTube who says some sensational things. He'll look at the moon or he'll look at a nebula and he'll see these streaks. And he'll claim that the streaks are UFOs because they're not anything else. Of course, usually they're satellites or airplanes. But it's like, if you can't absolutely tell if it's an airplane, he'll claim it's a satellite. I'm sorry, he'll claim it's a UFO and not the unidentified kind. Because when people claim they're seeing a UFO, they're not really claiming to see a UFO as much as they are claiming to see an alien spaceship. Because, of course, that's what they really mean by UFO. So let's see if we can pick a target anyway, despite my pessimistic attitude right now on the quality of targets. As you can see, we got the spiral arm of the Milky Way kind of just encroaching right here. And if anything, we want to go and grab targets that are coming from the east and going west. And we can even use the equatorial grid to assist us in this endeavor, because essentially anything that's in the middle of this altitude azimuth grid, this circle in the middle, is going to pass overhead. So in other words, if we follow this arch here, coming from the east, anything coming from this northeast area will eventually pass over our heads, although I believe Andromeda will not pass over our head until really late. But as the Earth rotates, these targets, all of this stuff will end up more or less directly overhead. Some of it less so than others, but, you know, so we could do this Elephant Trunk Nebula, which has a magnitude of a 3.5, although, does the nebula have a 3.5? That's pretty good, actually. That is, see, the problem is it's a star cluster associated with nebulosity, so I don't know if the nebulosity is, but they say surface brightness 7.4, so the higher the number, the less bright it is. We got Aldebaran. Aldebaran is known from the book The Forever War. So I sometimes like to take pictures of stars that are from, you know, sci-fi franchises. Calixa, I don't know, like Blackjack. I started reading a book recently. By reading, I mean, you know, listening to the audiobook version, because heaven forbid I sit down and read a book. I mean, really, seriously, I'm not even joking. It's a pain in the ass. So this book is called Starship for Sale, I picked it up while looking at some books made by Stanislav Lem, and it's got like a little picture of a starship. It's kind of, I gotta really set up different cameras here, but it's like a ship that looks like an egg with some headlights on it. Starship for sale by M.R. Forbes, and on the cover it's got a guy with a fedora or a detective's cap smoking a cigarette in front of the ramp on the front of the ship. And I'm already in chapter 23, although the chapters are like 7 minutes each, so I'm basically 90 minutes into the book. But it's got like it's a 6 hour or 7 hour book, maybe 8 hours. So basically this kid gets like a diagnosis for some terminal cancer or some shit. So, you know, his mom's like, you know, sad or whatever. They go to the doctor, they get checked out. You know, it gives you the description of that. That night, his best friend takes him out to the VR arcade to, you know, just have some fun on the town or whatever. That's kind of cool. This target would look cool. If this actually looks like anything like this, a twin star with like this glowing shit, that would be cool. Although on my scope it probably would look washed out, but even then this would look cool. I'm not going to take my chances on it right now, but that would look cool. So anyway, his friend takes him out. They play some like Starfighter game in the VR simulator, and he gets his girl's number, and then they go and they eat some burgers, and before going out to get burgers he gets a text message from the Starfighter game. They somehow got his number, and they're like, "Oh, would you like to enter sweepstakes for a free starship?" So he's like, "Or wait, free starship, win a starship." It's like a wanted ad for a starship. So he's like, "I'm dying of cancer anyway. I'll give him my phone number." So he goes and gets like no response. Goes, eats his burger. During the meal, a guy with a hat shows up, and he's like basically like kind of a flamboyant guy, not like gay flamboyant, just flamboyant, like, you know, funny. And basically he's telling me, yeah, you know, when we're done eating or whatever, you know, come into the limo and I'll show you the starship I'm selling. And long story short, the guy put some malware on their phones to some website, and that's how he tracked their location, and that's how he met up with them. And apparently it's a legit deal on a starship. And there's some other details I don't want to spoil the story, but it seems like it's potentially some fun, not necessarily like an epic sci-fi classic. Ghost Bush Cluster. What does that look like? Oh, that looks cool though. Fireworks Galaxy. And it's a little tiny thing though. It would look better on my other scope. Alright, so this elephant trunk. Let's see what we can do here. Alright, so first we need to activate auto guiding. So let's see if the multi-star tracking can work. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi. Alright. We'll lock it in. I'm not really liking this peak profile here, but I'll live with it, I guess. Not really crazy about it. Honestly, I might have to make some adjustments to my whatchamacallit. Might have to make some adjustments to the focuser on my finder scope. I'm not going to do that right now, but that might help with the quality of the peak. Because what we're doing is the software looks at the star and the brightness of it at the edges, and it calculates the center. They call that a centroid. Sounds like a hemorrhoid. And whoops, we're not even refreshing it. And generally speaking, if the scope is tracking the rotation of the Earth, and there's mechanical imperfections in my mount or something else that causes this, to drift a little bit instead of being in the center or remaining where it is on the frame, this program will look at how much off target we are and send compensation pulses to the motors in the mount. In this case, it's pulling it a little bit more to the west. This is east, this is west when we're looking at the blue things. But we'll leave it alone for now. So we're running 15-second exposures in a loop. I want to blame the atmosphere for the quality of these stars. I mean, they are round stars, we'll give them that. And the longer we run the exposure for, the more we see these background stars. Now, one of the things I got to do is tomorrow is get in touch with a, astrophotography forum and ask. I need to ask if, it's normal what I'm encountering. So when I set this to 30 seconds, what's supposed to happen is supposed to, basically expose the sensor for 30 seconds and then show me an image. What really happens, however, is every time I change the setting, the first 30 seconds is a waste. Then 30 more seconds, which is coming up shortly, you'll see a new frame pop up. Get the fuck off my screen. So we got 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, so that's a 30-second exposure. It got brighter. Some of the stars in the back maybe got a little brighter too. We can see more of the atmospheric sky glow. If I go and I change this to say 5 minutes, you guessed it, it's going to take 10 minutes before we see the first image. No fun. And of course, with something like this, we want to find out if we're going to see any gaseous stuff. We don't want to waste time on this target. Now, of course, while it's exposing, I can look for other targets. And sometimes you don't really get to see anything unless you're set to a hydrogen filter, which is a narrow band filter. So we got it centered. We got the 2 or 3 stars that were here. There we go. That's the elephant in the room. Huh. In the meantime, what we should do is Okay. That should do for now. Let's see if we can get audio from this video game, huh? Now, audio setups for the games has been a little sketchy. I can use my desktop audio to record audio for the game, but it's not really the ideal way to do this, just the way I've been doing it. So I usually like to bump up the volume on my TV and hear it from there. Okay, so that's a 30-second exposure, by the way, using the hydrogen alpha filter. I feel like we can get better focus. I'm kind of afraid to do it, but we're gonna just adjust the focus by 2 stops. And not that you can really see anything other than the target HUD. Alright, that's because I know why that happened. So when you're aiming the telescope mount, the back of it shakes a little bit, and you gotta redo the focus because of backlash, sort of. So let's see what the next frame looks like. Well, it looks like we did get some improvement here. So we'll pull it back by like 1 more increment of 5 and see what it looks like. Yeah, I think that's about as good as we're gonna get right now. So I guess we could do like, give it a couple minutes. In the meantime, I'm trying to think how we want to do this. Well, let's check my Gundam out. It's not a Gundam. I have 1580 points. I can increase my attack power. Okay, so it looks like level 8 is the maximum on everything there. I'm gonna put the video game music on like medium so that you can hear the game.
Activating training simulator. Enemy MS forces are hiding out in the city ruins to the west of the base. Xeon forces are gathering for a combined assault. Approaching reinforcements have also been confirmed.
So I made progress streaming from my bicycle, but I really gotta play around with my other phone in order to like get a complete solution going, because I have everything almost perfect. And if I'm only using my internal cameras, I can see the chat. Even when I'm not streaming directly to YouTube, apparently there's a weird way that OBS can backfeed the chat. I don't really know how it works. A little loud. Oh god, I didn't mean to do that.
Time to meet your maker. What the hell? Put him down.
Now, one of the complaints about this game is the frame rate. It's very low, choppy, sort of choppy. It's not like super fluidic, smooth 60 frames. It's not even, I don't even think it's 30 frames a second. But what I did was, I realized I could do two things in this game that might help. I was close. Two things I could do to improve the gameplay.
Open fire. You can't stop me. Energy dropping. Xeon strength has increased. Reinforcements.
But yeah, so I lowered the resolution to 720p, and that seems to help a bit. Now, at this point, my mobile suit is not very well equipped. Like, all I have is my machine guns.
I'll never submit to the likes of the Federation. Comrade, bring
Now before I die, because I'm gonna die in this game, at 1080p the graphics in this game look beautiful. Like the textures look very like detailed. But you're not missing out on a lot at 720p. Wow, what is the point of using the shield? Can I attack with my shield? So, anyway, there's no point in being at, using 1080p if you can't really even admire the quality. Well, I don't see a hint of a nebula here. Granted, I'm only doing a 2-minute exposure, but I'm usually more optimistic when I'm looking at a target on my telescope and I see like something like a gaseous cloud. So let's explore other targets that are going to eventually fly over the meridian or the zenith. We got this funnel cloud nebula, which I don't see here because it's not here, and I'm not even getting a magnitude on it. We got an open star cluster, magnitude 9. Cheeseburger nebula. That sounds fun. Just magnitude 10. I'm trying to stick with low magnitude. Lower the brighter the number. Open star cluster NGC 703. I might have to update this program to show me more of that. And we might be able to work on this target here, the North America Nebula. We tend to do okay with this target. And I think it's the brightest portion of this entire neighborhood. So we're going to deactivate auto guiding. I'm going to tell the telescope to point at it. Good news is my mount seems to be pretty decently aligned, knock on wood. See, as you can see, the bright stars have like a flat peak at the top of them. Now, we could shorten the exposure time. We could do that. But there's two reasons why I'm reluctant to shorten. Oh, and I gotta... That's interesting. See, I don't think that's a real star. I think that's like a hot pixel. I think it's because it's summertime. I have to recalibrate the hot pixel map so that the software knows to ignore that. That's my best bet. I like that star. We're going to do single stars. Even though multi-star might be good, I'm not crazy about it. Because, like, see, we're not getting a clean centroid anymore. We're getting all these, like, weird jagged centroids. It could be as simple as the guide scope being out of focus. But this I can live with. This I'm gonna use. So there we go. Guiding target guiding locked. And this is already rigged for a 2-minute exposure. We're gonna let it run. Hopefully I don't have to pull in the stepper motor again. Of course, couldn't see any of what I just showed you, but don't worry, nothing came up. If I see anything cool on my screen, you'll be the first to know. How did I gain 1440 points for losing? Okay, so can't say I see anything here.
Simulator. Enemy forces are approaching the weapons development facility. They've already got the facility partially surrounded and are aiming to take out our defense forces. It's gonna be tough to hold off the enemy with our current forces. We need you to join forces and help them hold the perimeter. That concludes the briefing. Commence training.
See? It's gonna go directly overhead at this region. And then by the time Andromeda goes overhead, it's gonna be sunrise. That's why we're doing it that way. So now we're gonna just let's hit it.
Commencing training.
What the hell? Ah! Ah! Damn it!
Ally destroyed. We're losing threat.
Fire! Ah! Neon pet! Get the hell off Earth! Be careful of the base! Misfires are unacceptable!
Defense target energy dropping.
Stay away!
So one of the issues I was reading about in one of the game reviews was there's like a lag issue when you like need to move and you can't move sometimes, and I noticed it's prevalent.
Target damage! Keep firing! Don't let up!
It's prevalent when I'm using my beam saber and I want to jump away from the target. Like, I don't know if exploding mobile suits, if something explodes next to you, if that damages your suit, but I don't want to find out. Now, good news, there's a supply depot here.
Charge!
So, in other words, it doesn't really matter as long as I can use the supply depot to resupply.
Defense target hit. Damage critical.
Charge! Coming! Ah!
So it's very important.
Damn it!
It's very important that we defend the depot, because that supply depot will allow me to get more ammunition.
Damn it! Stay away! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Ah! Damn it! Ah! How's your supply request confirmed? Commencing reload.
I'm gonna adjust my settings for the North American Nebula because And we're gonna just call it NAM for short for North American Nebula.
Ammunition replenished.
That noise of the rocket jets or whatever makes me want to watch Mobile Suit Gundam 0080 War into the Pocket. In 0080, there's a scene, pretty much in the first episode, in the beginning of the movie, or miniseries, where you have these underwater mobile suits making an approach under the ice near an Antarctic base, and they use their rocket boosters, or they have like solid rocket boosters attached to their backpacks that allow them to jump out of the water, punch a hole through the ice, and fly over land. And while they're flying over the icy landscape, you hear this cool, you know, it just sounds cool. And that's the sound I'm hearing when I use my backpack mounted jets. I should point this camera down a little bit so you can see my controller. One thing I find frustrating is that you can't have more than 2 webcams without doing some changing up of things to the setup. We got a lot of points here. We should go to the hangar and we should upgrade everything. So this will be the maximum level for weapons for my GM, and that will allow me to have the maximum ammunition and maximum range. On the other hand, my gun tank has maximum attack capabilities, and we can upgrade both its weapons and its defenses. I'm gonna go and do the defenses first because I'm a firm believer that a gun tank should have, you know, the best defense it can have. And then this guy's got like no defense, but most people would recommend spending on everything else before defense. At the very least, I'll give him better attack and weapons before I put too much effort into his defense. And we're doing a training mission because I want to I don't want to advance the calendar in this game yet.
Activating training simulator. Enemy forces are approaching the weapons development facility. They've already got the facility partially surrounded and are aiming to take out our defense forces. It's gonna be tough to hold off the enemy with our current forces. We need you to join.
Look at that. By the way, why don't they have a rumble pack on these? Hey Google, why don't PlayStation 3 controllers have rumble?
Commencing training.
Wow, that's bullshit. I remember hearing that years ago, and I still call bullshit on it. Years ago, I almost believed it. Back in the day, they said that PlayStation controllers, they took away the vibration because it would interfere with the motion sensor. Let's be honest here. Who the F uses motion sensing on a PlayStation controller? Nobody. Even games that, like, if a game makes it optional, you ain't using it.
Neon pests! Get the hell off Earth! Be careful of the base. Misfires are unacceptable. You're damn it! What the fire! Wait, miss! No!
So yeah, I would love to play this at 1080p, but from what I figure, I'm getting slightly better performance out of this game at 720p. And look, no complaints. Now, honestly, I don't really care. Like, I'm just happy if they made a game like this. And if the hardware wasn't up to the task, well, that's just a lesson that they should make a PC version.
Energy dropping. Almost to
Stop the enemy invasion!
Be careful.
What the hell? Neon forces have invaded the base! Move out!
Defense target energy dropping.
Time to meet your maker!
Defense target damaged. Be careful.
How's your ammo? Supply request confirmed. Commencing reload.
3 minutes before we see the first target.
Danger. Energy reading critical.
Attack! No!
Critical. Evacuate immediately. Mission failed. Terminating simulation.
2 minutes before we see the imaging target on the telescope. Hold on, I've never invested in the defensive capabilities of my gym. We're seeing some nebulosity here. So we see this like, whoops, wrong display. So we got like this little wispy cloud thing here. We got like a little wispy thing here. We got some pattern here. Now the question is, if we run the telescope for like multiple hours on end, will we see more of this? There's other issues here too. Apparently the camera cannot sustain negative 15 degrees. So we're going to crank it down to negative 10 degrees. That's because it's so hot outside right now. Like, it's not terribly hot outside, but it's not winter either. In the winter you can get even colder. And I'm not sure if that's a star. That might be noise. That might be thermal noise. Because look, we got some out of focus stars. And then you're going to tell me that these are pinpoint stars? I don't buy it. Nah, those are hot pixels. You can literally see. That's like a straight up square. I mean, it could be a star. But I'm going to guess that like this bright white one here is thermal noise. And so, you know, that could be residual heat from the Peltier cooler. Is the very part of the telescope, I mean the camera, that cools down the image sensor? Well, it's like a heat pump almost. But you can get weird issues when you have residual heat. We could use live stacking in the future, but I mean, you know, I want to have some raw imaging data that I can actually process. Those could have been small stars, it's possible. But is it enough? I don't know. But you know what? I'm gonna just take a gamble here. We're gonna do a 600-second exposure, and if we get something nice out of this, I'll tell everyone about it. I'll tell everyone about it tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm gonna do we're gonna do two things. We're gonna turn off my Sony PlayStation 3. We're gonna set this ruler aside for my tortoise tomorrow. I want to measure my tortoise. And we're gonna test out a PlayStation 4 remote control on my desktop. I have an application installed that is called DS4 Windows. And basically this is like a configuration utility. It's a test utility. One of the cool things about this PlayStation controller is, I mean, the application lets you change the color of the LED up here, which I thought I changed it to red a while ago. I guess I didn't save the settings. There we go. Maybe make it a little different color. Can we make it white? It doesn't look like white. There we go. Oh, I see what it does while it's charging. Okay. But yeah, so there's like a... Well, they do have a gyroscope in here, but what games actually use the effing gyroscope? Once again, I ask. Anyway, let's just do something more important. I just want to know if this wireless controller works in a game I regularly play. Well, not regularly. I clearly haven't played it in a while. Oh, come on! The fucking shit. No. Pain in my ass. I have plenty of free space. I got multiple gigabytes of free space. Hey. I'm missing half my star field. That's better. But yeah, during that stream earlier today, I was playing around with this stuff. Anyway, okay, I'm looking for something else. What I wanted to do is check if I had any excess data. Oh wow. I have like 30 gigs of video on my there we go. Hopefully that fixes the issue because I don't want to, you know, have any issues with this here. See, that's better. That's more like it. Hey Google, switch input to HDMI 3. So we set it to 600 seconds, which is like 10 minutes. Uh-oh. So BeamNG Drive is apparently trying to run the game on my secondary monitor right now. It's quite bizarre. What I can't even see half the fucking menu. Okay, let's try that again. I click play the game, launch the game. I'm focused on my main monitor. Oh my god, that is absolutely frustrating. So I don't know if OBS is gonna like when so now it's fixed. Now the app is like being chill. Okay, well, number one, go to my main monitor. Go to borderless mode. That's better. Oh, and we do have a little minor caveat here. Let me see if I can fix that. Oh god. Okay, that's better. Okay, it's not like perfect. You know, I would rather have this like in a full screen mode where I can have like 1080p, 1920 by 1080p in the full screen mode at 60 hertz. Alright, that's, oh god. No, 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 no. What are you doing? Oh man, what a fucking mess. What a fucking mess. Okay, let's try that again. So what's happening is when you're in borderless mode, you can't pick that. So I gotta go to full screen. So it's like one of the reasons why I sometimes think about getting another 1080p monitor. Like a normal 1920 or even like a 4K monitor, but normal widescreen. Because this bullshit. Not only did the screen resize, but OBS got fucking confused by it and decided to take it upon itself to like reposition the freaking video window. I don't even know how it did that. Like, it's back to normal. Now it's back to normal. That is absolutely effing frustrating. I guess we're running the piece of shit app in windowed mode for now. Like, I don't want to run it in windowed mode. I don't want to have to show my stupid taskbar. But if I'm going to stream it, I'm gonna have to do it this way. There's a dozen ways to skin a cat, and unfortunately the way we're doing it right now requires me to do this. So getting on topic here, I want to see my controllers. We have no force feedback, because heaven forbid modern gamepads have force feedback, and I'm like, I literally have to hook up an antique Xbox 360 controller, which I have somewhere right over here. It should be right here. I usually have it hooked up. I recently unhooked it while cleaning my desk, but I better find it because I like using that. Because what good is a driving game if you don't have force feedback? And you know what? We're just going to go and jump into the game because I don't even want to mess around with that. So let's do the test arena. Let's see if this actually works. And then in a moment, in fact, we could check this now. Alright, so it's going to take like another 5 minutes for that to kick in. Well, that's good. It works. But, oh, and this does have force feedback. Oh, that's great. I felt it just now. Good, because I thought it was a bullshit excuse when Sony was just trying to save money. Because they were losing money on the PlayStation 3. Oh, there goes my spare tire. I gotta say, 60 frames a second looks pretty good on my screen here. Like, I'm getting a proper 60 frames, so, I mean, if that's good. There's gotta be a way to refresh this. I don't want to have to respawn from the same location. Oh, that's a new car. Oh. It's a very lightweight construction, huh? Wow, I've never gotten that much air. It's the only way I know how to refresh in the same location. Alright, that was a fun run. I'm gonna end it for now. So we got like a little more detail over here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna let the camera blast images for the remainder of the night. 10-minute exposures, and we're gonna do it at -10 degrees. And looks like we're seeing a lot of stars. I'm assuming if that's not noise, I'm assuming those are actual stars. And then these faint objects behind are also stars. If we get an opportunity tomorrow night, maybe we'll try to image the same target using a different filter. But for now, we're going to just keep it shooting with the hydrogen filter. It's going to keep shooting till 6 p.m. tomorrow. So in other words, I'll just delete the excess images. I'm not going to actually shoot till 6 p.m. I'm just going to, you get the idea. When I wake up before noon, I can stop the imaging. And we'll leave this alone for now. We can just see it's going through the meridian. And this is set to automatically stop tracking at 5 a.m. So basically, if the mount limits don't kick in, which they should now that I set them up correctly, but if they don't kick in, the backup plan is for this to tell it to stop moving the mount at 5 a.m. And this will prevent me from running into unplanned or undesirable issues where the back of the telescope bumps into the mount. And with that, I end this video. I thank you for tuning in. I thank Dick Marks. Dick Marks has a YouTube channel that's spelled M-A-R-X, but he's not a commie as far as I'm aware. And if he is a commie, he's still a cool guy. So check out his content. Thank you for tuning in. End transmission. Oh, please like and subscribe. End transmission.